Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You survived day number 2 of WCS Winter. Welcome back for another awesome day of StarCraft. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by In Control here at the desk, and we are super ready for some more StarCraft. You look a little less ready than me.
You know, in warm-ups you said, congratulations, you've survived. And I was like, that's just Ravi being silly.
Yeah.
And then we went live and you pushed that through, did you?
Yeah.
That's what we...
I mean, it's difficult, Jeff. When we go offline, a lot of people just don't know what to do anymore.
Do
they just wait for the next
not know what
broadcast.
to do? Is that...
I guess they could load up the VOD and rewatch the broadcasts, you know.
Are we worried about that? Is that our... Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you guys are not familiar with WCS Winter, we went over the format yesterday, but once again, it's 32 players qualified for each one of these regions, both Europe and Americas, and 16 of these players are going to be moving on to the next stage. 6 players will make it to the offline finals. That'll be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a really, really great tournament. Got a new kind of different format with the group stages, of course, leading into an eventually a round robin, leading into kind of a King of the Hill style finals.
Yeah, I mean, it's a WCS stop. So for these guys, this is the beginning of their work year for a lot of these players. For some other players, this is the exciting attempt to establish themselves and make this their thing. And that's the beautiful thing about WCS. We saw it last year. For me, this is the continuation of storylines. Rainer came close to touching excellence. He almost beat Cyril in the finals last year, where a lot of people were talking about how he could have been at BlizzCon. Well, 2019, no excuses. He's got the whole year ahead of him.
Okay.
Excited.
Of course, these players are going to be playing for $60,000 in total prize money, $12,000 going to first place, and even the players that get knocked out in the first group stage here are still going to be walking away with $675, so not too shabby, good bit of money. Like you were saying, Jeff, it's effectively like one of those WCS circuit events.
Yeah. Good prize distribution, $12,000 for first place, really happy with that, I think. What is not to love?
Not a whole lot. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about today's broadcast. For the European-specific part of the broadcast, we are going to be covering these 4 players in a typical WCS circuit group. We got HeroMarine, Terran player, Skilless, Mana, and Shadone. A lot of Protoss.
Yeah, as it should be. I'm hoping 2019... We saw a lot of Zerg last year. We saw some Terrans and Wings of Liberty. I want 2008 just 75% Protoss, just tons of Protoss.
I've seen those round 8s before.
Yeah, even Alpha Stars playing Protoss. You know, just if the AI picks it, who are we? Who are we? You know?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we never really had like tier list or anything in StarCraft, but I guess effectively we could get one of those.
We do. We need it. No, on a serious note, this is fun. Skilless, 17 years old, young person. And he's been showing up on your ladder heroes, I believe, and some other places, and now he's here in WCS, and that's kind of the beauty of the system, so I'm excited about that. Although, HeroMarine, one of my favorite players of ages old, you were saying on a stream, he said that if he loses in this group, he'll retire again.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, man, because after the first retirement, second retirement.
Second one's a hard one to explain. It's like, I retired again. People are like, didn't you already retire? I was like, yes! This is the second part of it. Can we throw a party? No, you don't get a party.
It's called a vacation, not a retirement at that point.
That's right.
But hopefully, regardless, HeroMarine, a big favorite in this group. He is expected to do pretty well, and that is going to be, again, our first match, HeroMarine versus Skilless. HeroMarine pretty favored coming into this. Skilless, one of those up-and-coming players, but this is an opportunity for Skilless to maybe make a name for himself.
Yeah, you say HeroMarine's a big favorite, and I don't disagree with you. He's obviously very, very good, but he's got 3 Protoss players in a matchup where I think HeroMarine has been known to be a little bit salty in the TvP. Shadone also very good, by the way. He made it to a couple of, I believe, DreamHack WCS offline stuff.
He nearly Cannon Rush Scarlet out of WCS Montreal, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, very few people can claim that. So it's a tough group. I don't know anything about Skilless, so I'm kind of coming in as a fresh take on this, and that's really fun for me.
So I have only seen a few of the games from Skilless. I know he's been qualifying for like some of the tournaments and online events. He's been very active there. And the games that I have seen of him, they haven't really been super cheesy or anything or super all-in. It's actually more along the lines of a standard Protoss play. Protoss versus Terran, though, can be a little bit weird sometimes these days. Yeah. So who knows what we're going to actually find out.
I've been seeing a lot of HeroMarine on like other Protoss streamers' streams. Like when I watch Showtime, he's hitting HeroMarine a few times there. And that's been fun because HeroMarine has also always been You wouldn't call him like a alternative Terran. He doesn't do really wacky stuff, but if there is a mech in the meta, he'll kind of sneak that in there. He'll mix up some stuff, and then he's just always been very good. So I'm excited to watch him play.
Okay. Well, starting down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Terran player from Mouse Esports. He is HeroMarine. So today, our intros have Zerg music.
Yeah.
And starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we got our blue Protoss player. He is Skilless.
Peter Bear. Nikita. You know what? If you would have told me his name was Nikita, I would have thought that's a female name. Nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying. Nikita?
Like, yeah, that's like part of a... The only reason why I even know that name is because I think it's part of a song in Rent, the musical.
Wow. I learned so much about you.
The Akita.
And just that.
Navita? Something like that?
Yeah, is that?
Yeah, something like that.
That's how we got there?
That's how we got there.
Okay. And I apologize, guys. We are both ignorant Americans, so when we encounter you guys, you kind of exotic European fellows and ladies, and you're like, my name is such and such, I'll be like, wow, most of the people I met are named John, or like Bob, and your name is Nikita. That's so much cooler.
Do you know any Peters?
Peter? Yeah, there's a few Peters. But it's an older name, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really... Peter's a name that I know a lot of people have. Never really met anyone until I met a European.
Yeah, Americans are very, like, trendy with names, right? Like, name trends happen throughout our entire generations. My dad's middle name is Cletus. Douglas Cletus Robinson. Ever met a Cletus?
No, I didn't know that was a
Pray
name.
you never do, okay? They're a tough lot. When your parents put you on this earth and they go, your name is Cletus, you are set on a path.
That's a pretty tough name.
Yeah, it's a tough one. All right. Unlike, what HeroMarine's name's awesome. What was it again?
Big Gabe?
No.
Gabriel?
Oh, this is HeroMarine.
Yeah.
Who is...
Did we miss the intros?
No.
Oh.
Who's the French Terran I'm thinking of?
French Terran. Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah. He just came back out of retirement.
Space Marine? No, not Space Marine.
Isn't this weird?
No,
Guys, it's really early for us, so I apologize.
Yeah.
My brain is not on just yet. Who am I thinking of?
I'm like trying to cycle through European Terrans right now. I'm on a total blank. And today we don't have Twitch chat on our preview.
Wow, this is so weird for me. I totally know, obviously, Big Gabe and HeroMarine, but I was thinking of the French Terran that just came back up from retirement. He went to Overwatch.
Oh, Lilbo.
No,
he was a Protoss, so sorry.
You're not helping
I know,
at all.
you said Overwatch.
This is the worst.
Okay.
I'm like, save me, and you're just like throwing water in my face right now. Like, drown. Anyways, getting into this game here, it is HeroMarine who's going to be scouting and playing a little bit standard here. Wow, I did that whole intro thinking this was a different guy, by the way. That's how bad this is.
That's great.
Jeez, Louisiana's.
Regardless, it is, like you said, going to be a more normal intro from HeroMarine. We got Skilless going for pretty quick charge, getting up a Robo. Oftentimes we usually see Protoss players going straight for the Blink upgrade instead of a charge. So.
Oh, geez. You know what's happening here?
What?
That's Combat Shield first. There's tanks coming out. I think this is just the meta. Like, it just absolutely is. It's just going to be that shove across the map, and then you start building bunkers and turrets right outside their base.
Yes.
This will not last, by the way. Everyone listening, like this, enjoy this week, okay? Because here's what happens. It's happening. It's been done. But the second you adjust for it, you just monster mode it.
That's a really fast third from Skilless as well.
Yeah.
He has no idea exactly what he's going to be up against. The Adept moved into the Natural. Of course, he had an earlier kind of initial scout of the factory.
He's got charge. He's adding gateways. And that is actually, in my opinion, that would be one of the answers. If you don't have stim and just an overwhelming amount of units fall on your face, and also the few times we've seen this push, it hasn't had medevacs either. So there is actually no escape. Yeah.
It's going to be pretty committed. HeroMarine, we'll see how many SCVs he pulls, because I know you were mentioning the bunkers and stuff, and we have seen that quite a bit. A lot more gateways being added on over behind the Natural, like you said, and it looks like multiple, just constant observer production.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt, because if you had a bunch of Immortals coming, this would be really, really nice.
Yep. He is warping in some units. He gets the scout out now, so if Skilless wants to survive, he's got to see it coming. I mean, he has double forge here. He's about to be supply blocked, by the way, too.
Uh-oh.
He's massively supply blocked. The next
I think the Nexus is finishing, so...
Yeah, but that's it. There's no pylons coming in. So he's got 6 gateways finished. He's going to be able to warp in 4 or 5 units, and he's still building probes, so this is bad. He doesn't know what's coming.
Okay, we got...
Somehow.
LCVs.
Now the observer's like, wow, that's an army in the middle of the map. I probably should start building some stuff.
HeroMarine notice it? He's just scanning forward. Seeing that the army is not at the natural, he's going to move toward the 3rd base, start building those bunkers. There is not that large of an army over here for Skilless. He comes in with a flank of Zealots, catches one of the Siege Tanks, immediately gets on top of the rest of them as well.
Yeah.
This is actually going quite well for Skilless.
Absolutely. Getting on top of the tanks is a big, big deal. This Bioforce without stim is just nothing in comparison to when it obviously has stim, so it's going to get chopped up here. Now, the good news for HeroMarine is that he did not pull, I believe, well, he pulled like 2 or 3. Yeah, so a very light SCV pull. But make no mistake, that push was meant to do a lot more than what it did. You can see he's down 20 supply. And now our young Protoss has a very fast 3rd. He did probe. He built double forge and started blink in the midst of that fight and still won the fight. So everyone, if you're, we can't see the chat right now, but I hope you guys are going, Protoss, you got Protoss here. Protoss. But or HeroMarine did a meta build that got clobbered by 6 gateways.
Yeah, I know you were talking about how it was potentially a good reaction there from Skills, but I mean, even just I was a little bit skeptical of, oh, you're getting observers, you're going to have immortals and stuff, but that detection and seeing exactly where the army was, the angle it was going to come from, that was what allowed him to actually pull those Zealots to the other side, because otherwise the Siege Tanks survive, you get a lot more damage done with them.
Yes, it's a huge deal, Rubby. You hit the nail right on the head. In that engagement, he peeled off, I think it was only 3 charge lots, but because the tanks were fully exposed, there's like a single Marauder guarding them. And actually what was really nice is Skilless didn't just move the Zealots into the tanks, which would have been okay but not great. He actually manually walked them into all 3 of the tanks. So there's one that was kind of slightly askew, and then 2 that were closer in. He got on top of all 3 of them and just reduced the damage by a huge margin. Now going for a really fast 4th Nexus before HeroMarine even takes his 3rd. That's amazing.
We'll see if this is going to be safe. I think that he should be able to get away with this. But
Marine Lord, by the way, Rubby. Marine Lord.
Oh, yeah. I said Space Marine.
You just
I was
dumping water on my face.
I was close.
How do you're supposed to know these players. You're the guy that knows everyone.
I know the North Americans.
They cart me in out of stasis, and they just go, Jeff, make memes. I'm not supposed to know these players' names? Come on. I blame you.
That's fair.
Chat, if we get some hashtag WCSs on Twitter trending.
Hashtag WCS.
That's the other part that I'm supposed to do. Robotics Bay behind this as well. I don't think there's a second Robo, so for right now, that could be... I mean, we've seen a lot of Colossus yesterday, so I'm a little bit... I've got Colossus on the brain, because apparently all the Protosses do. But I would think Disruptor almost off of the single Robo. I know I'm going to be wrong, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, even just the gateway units right now are still going to be a big problem for HeroMarine to deal with, especially since he's got that 2-2 nearly finished up. HeroMarine is lagging behind on just one upgrade. And yeah, like you said, second Robo coming up right as the Robotics Bay finishes. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? Colossus.
Yep. No, HeroMarine's in all kinds of trouble. Like, I don't... It's not over, obviously, but this is also a very small map. Look at the bases as it is right now. HeroMarine takes its 3rd, and it goes towards the middle of the map. And with the 4th base taken by Skilless, they are like a screen away from being on top of each other. So a little bit of engagement in the middle of the map here, and that's, I mean, HeroMarine's army is not even an army. That's like a scout force. So he's just kind of out here trying to buy some time. But that is an overwhelming Protoss army. To be up 20+ supply right now for a Protoss is a huge deal.
Yeah, really relying on these Widow Mines maybe, as there are quite a few charge slots, and the charge slots, despite all the observers, are not quite going to see the Widow Mines in time. They take a lot of damage.
There's a good split. I mean, you're going to take that damage. He's going to dislodge this 3rd, though. The SVs are getting pulled back. He cannot go up this ramp. And one of the ways he could throw this away would be HeroMarine, of course, while he's getting force fielded off. But actually, Skilless is going to disengage, and I think that's the right call. The SCVs over here as a buffer for that mostly Marine force means that he could have had huge DPS over there. The good news here, though, is that with Colossus coming out and HeroMarine having gone mostly Marines, this army is about to get very, very countered.
Yeah, that is the kind of big thing, right? Is that Skilless can just eventually push out once he actually gets that Colossus count up to a good solid 3, and he is about to pop out at number 2 and number 3 in a second. Right in time for HeroMarine's big push out. He does have some Liberators and also Ghosts, so maybe some miracles happen, but it's going to be a miracle.
Yeah, it would take that. So it's 2-1 upgrades for HeroMarine, by the way. And if you look at the production tab, he's not actually queuing any further upgrades. Skilless has done a great job of getting his upgrades just flown out there as fast as possible and continuously chrono boosting them. So his 3-3, well, if this game even continues, here comes the Colossus on top of that, mostly Marine Force, and I don't think so. It's a lot of laser beams, just a couple of tanks, and they will all die. HeroMarine's going to pull back. He is now down 50 plus supply, and Protoss is knocking on that third, which is basically the lifeblood of HeroMarine, and it's actually, or it's not even getting knocked on. This is a kick. This is a Jason Statham, like he knocks, you look through the keyhole, the eye hole, and then he kicks the door in. Remember that scene, Ravi?
I have not seen that movie, but that sounds great.
Watch it.
Either way, though, GG is going to get called.
Sounds great. GG. HeroMarine, and this is a thing worth discussing, because it's like, if you watch this game in a vacuum, I mean, again, there's going to be a lot of people like, wow, because yesterday we saw that push work, was it 100% of the time? The one Disruptor game, I guess.
Yeah,
right? There's one game where Speed Disruptor kind of dislodged it. It's a very good push. The early third would seem like a reason why you would just die to this, but it was kind of interesting because the 6 gates and, yes, the lack of tech. Now, Ravi was talking about the Robo getting Observers out, but Observers are 25 minerals, 75 gas. It's not a big deal. 6 gateways of just unit production, and then specifically getting on top of those 3 tanks. If those tanks are protected and you start the bunkers further out and the Bioforce is slow walking in, no. This game probably just ends just about right there, because then you're warping in 3 or 4 Zealots and a Stalker or 2 or something, and that's not going to kill.
Yeah, like you said, though, that is one of those more one-off things that HeroMarine was doing that game. We could see him go for less of an aggressive, like, I don't want to call it a 2-base all-in, because clearly he did have something he could do, but like you said, it's committed. It has to get damage done. Yeah. And that's not something you need to do every single game. There are other things you can fall back to as a Terran player.
Well, yeah, that's why I think it's an interesting discussion. I absolutely agree with you. You don't have to do this. I don't think the Terran players would say you have to. Yeah. I think they're doing it because they're finding a lot of success with it, which is...
That's not the reason.
In the broadcast, I said enjoy it this week, though, because like it is an easy adjustment for the Protoss players. Maybe they're getting, I think against a Stargate, it'd be really strong. Maybe it is against Immortals. Somehow it actually is strong, too, because if you turn out Immortals, they're very expensive. Yeah. And unless you're hitting the tanks, you're hitting a Bioforce that has shields and stuff. Yeah,
I mean, to your point, I was just thinking about Robotics Facility time with producing the Observers. But like you said, the Observers are only 25 minerals. That means that you have more minerals for those Zealots and everything. And that's actually, if you say you make 2 Immortals, that's paying for 5 Zealots right there. Yeah, so interesting kind of back and forth. And I know the pro gamers, it's fun to hear them, and actually, I guess, to put my foot in my mouth a little bit, I think later in these broadcasts, and later I mean other weekends, we're actually going to do interviews with the players, I believe, so I'd love to ask it's going to be in one of the later rounds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'd love to hear more about that, because they have this stuff broken down really far, and we're just kind of spitballing, but it's interesting. It's all over the meta, so for you guys playing on the ladder, get ready. Now that we've seen on WCS, you're going to see it everywhere.
All right, we're moving into game number 2. It is going to be Kairos Junction. As we start down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, was favored coming into this, but is currently sitting down 0-1. It is Mouse Esports' HeroMarine.
Yeah, that's so funny. I did the whole intro, for whatever reason, thinking Marine Lord. I don't know. And I know Big Gate, man. I know this guy.
Starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, sitting up 1-0, our up-and-comer. He is Skilless from Team Blazer. $1,400 in prize money earned so far from Skilless. That's gonna be getting about 50% of that, even if he gets knocked out today.
Yep, just qualifying for this got him a pretty good chunk of change. He's sitting at 1-0 over Mr. Big Gabe HeroMarine, which is a big deal. HeroMarine last year had a very, very nice year. He was one of those guys that we were talking about as being one of the best Europeans. I would say he's right behind Euthermal as the best European Terran, and HeroMarine would actually probably say the same. He might have a modicum of respect for Euthermal. One of the funniest streams you can watch, by the way, is HeroMarine. This guy, because he's very high up in the ladder, so he's hitting very good players over and over again.
And he has opinions on all of them.
He has opinions on all of them, but he'll hit someone that's like 5,900 and be like, ugh. You know, he's like, gosh. can't believe I hit such a trash player like this. This is so bad. And I'm over here like, that guy's really good.
He's honest with his opinions, if nothing else.
Very honest, yes.
Okay, well, interested to see where things are going to go in this game for HeroMarine. Like we were talking about before, there's a good mix-up of things he can do. Is there anything that like comes or strikes you on Kairos Junction? Because I know you're talking a lot about Cyber Force and how the 3rd and 4th base, you start really expanding much closer to your opponent, that kind of stuff.
For me personally, no. There's a lot of expansions that you can button down through fairly good chokeholds. So there's a lot of Terrans that will actually go for a mech army on this map. I don't know that that's necessarily what HeroMarine needs to do. For me, when I think of HeroMarine, I think of pretty standard, strong Terran play, and he, of course, will mix things up. But against an opponent like Skilless, who took a very fast 3rd and then kind of came out with a very, and as you said too in the pre-show, he's more of like a prototypical Protoss player. Like he's not not known for his cannon rushes. He's not known for, he always a Stargate player or anything like that. He's just kind of, he's going to do this, tried and true stuff. He took aggressive 3rd, aggressive 4th. That's really good. HeroMarine is the better player, so I would hope that he doesn't do a timing attack that kind of slows it down. That timing attack, by the way, it's not the 1-1-1 of like ages old, where it was like, hey, this is coming, you know it's coming, good luck stopping, because it's really hard to stop. I think that timing attack that we've been seeing the last 2 days now is strong, but it's like strong against certain openings, and the second the Protoss does a different opening, I feel like it's not strong anymore.
Reaper actually moving at the same time the Adept is on the other side of the map. Already mentioned in net 3 worker kills, and the Reaper still got some hit points left over, working away at one of those probes. Not able to get it, but still, that's a lot of good damage done.
Yep, not bad. 3 kills and a full, well, actually not a full sky. Didn't see the Twilight Council, I believe, but
yeah, didn't make it that far back.
Still pretty decent. Now this Adept is getting a full scout, and I'll tell you what, you know what it sees, Ravi?
2 barracks and a factory, which is looking a lot like the last game.
It is, except the small change, which is instead of combat shield, it is stim, and that's a faster engineering bay as well. So for me, the non-expert on breaking down Terran builds, I would say this is a little bit different.
After scouting that, actually, it looks like he, or maybe it was right before he scouted, I'm not 100% sure on the timing, but I think he canceled Blink, started up Charge, and started up his Robo to make his build look a lot more like the last game.
Huh. Well, he opened Charge last game too.
Yeah, well, he had Blink about 25 or 30% finish researching, and he canceled it.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
His Charge is about to finish here, so that must have been a while ago.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Because the Adept was sitting in there. I'm not sure exactly when he saw the factory and the tech lab and everything on the barracks.
Interesting. But it is not going to be that timing attack, I don't think. There's a 3rd barracks being added. No starport just yet, so maybe, but +1 attack is also getting started here. It'd be kind of weird to do all that and then do this timing attack before some of that stuff even kicks in.
Adding on the 3rd barracks as well and really delaying that starport similar to the last game.
4th barracks.
There's a starport, actually.
And a starport.
Hallucinating Phoenix is going to come in at a really nice time and scout this out.
Yeah, sees everything. So it is not that push. He's adding gases as well. But it is heavy 2-base play, right? There's no 3rd command center just yet. This SCV is going to pull back here, but maybe just build a depot. He's adding missile turrets as well. He's going for +1 on the engineering base. So these all kind of indicate at least some kind of mid-game push. But the longer this goes without a 3rd command center, the more I begin to believe he's just going to do like a big 110 supply, 120, something like that, big push.
Observer runs into the missile turret, unfortunately does meet its demise. Okay, well, we do have Blink on the way behind this, as well as the double forge, so going to be churning out those upgrades, utilizing that massive swell gateways he got, and trying to power up from here on out to try and defend against any kind of big push.
It's coming, my friend. Combat shield, about 60%. A couple of medevacs coming out to join this army. Factory adding, is that a reactor?
Yes.
Okay, so he's going to have a reactor here, so no more tanks.
So Widow Mines?
Yeah, probably. The Observer getting a good scout here, though. The first one did die, as Roby pointed out, but the second one was just right behind it, and it's now seeing everything.
Yeah, even got another Observer out in the middle of the map that's going to spot out the army and the angle it's going to go to, knowing that's not moving toward the natural. It's probably moving between the 3rd and the natural, so you can reposition his army. Scan comes down and sees that Skilless does have some units warped in over there, but not that many. These Elts do have charge, but he's not going to be able to do that kind of flanking maneuver he did before.
Yep, picks off the pylon right off the bat, so there's not going to be any immediate warp-ins. Force fields actually end up helping HeroMarine more than anything else, and while they expended their charge, they're going to come over here. The Nexus immediately goes down, probes dying on the retreat, and this force of Terran is going to be able to push forward. Now, HeroMarine should not be able to go much further, he says. Does the caster? Does the caster say that?
And he's killing up a lot of the Zealots, but the Siege Tank is going to go down. The Immortal should start working away at this army, but there's no more frontline buffer anymore for these gateway units.
So there's no push coming across the map, so I do think this ends up actually getting cleaned up, as the casters are wont to say, but this is hardly a cleaning. This is more of a, like, you know, emergency evacuation. But he's going to be evacuating out of the game here fairly soon. HeroMarine is up about 20 supply. He is getting an on-location third base, and he had so much success, he says, you know what? Let's just keep pushing. Let's just keep going here. If you can't take a third, if you can't build any tech, then I'm probably winning this game.
Yeah, mild upgrade lead for Skilless is helping out a little bit, but he is still getting kited repeatedly by these bio units, bleeding off Zealots every single time he tries to give it a bit of chase. Keeps warping in more Zealots, doesn't have 2-2 or anything on the way because he's just worried about trying to stay alive.
He is unfortunately in the middle of a micro battle that the Terran can afford to do, right? Because behind this he's building SCVs, he's building an armory, he's advancing himself further. Well, that little pickup there, gotta be careful. And now, Skilless does end up pushing this back, and you will note that the supply gap has closed, quote unquote. But again, the big kind of concern here, as Ravi pointed out, there's not even a third or a fourth gas, excuse me, on the natural.
Oh.
He's very, very behind. No 2-2 on the way. Like, what's the X factor here? Is he going to just keep warping in gateway units and we think that's his path to victory? I don't think so. I think that's very hard to imagine.
Yeah, and really, that's only something you can pull off if you have better upgrades. If you don't have that, not a whole lot going for you. He did manage to pick off a lot of the army for HeroMarine, so if he doesn't make this work, I don't actually know how he makes it work a couple of minutes from now.
Yep, this is it. He's going to go forward with it right now. The sentries are kind of his X factor if there was anything. But the force fields are gone, the Guardian Shield has dissipated, and now there's just the Terran force. It is backing away. And even with the third dislodge, remember that there's, of course, mules here. Now, HeroMarine's got to be a little bit careful in the sense that, of course, if he just completely loses every single guy, then, yeah, I guess his Protoss force can get on top of his natural, and that's where real trouble comes out. But 5 medevacs or 6 or so, I'm still doubting, but, you know, maybe not.
Gonna rely on some good micro, maybe some pickup micro with those medevacs against the forces, because this is a very big sentry-heavy army. Zealots are going to try and buffer a little bit, but most of those have already gone down. Now we end up seeing the bio stimming on top of this army. Force fields go down and actually do lock out a decent chunk of these bio units.
Yeah.
There is some progress being made here for Skilless.
There actually is. He's blinking back. He's kind of preserving his DPS here. The sentries, I mean, now that the SCVs are pulled, it feels like there's just not enough stuff to deal with this, but for a couple of seconds there.
I mean, the Zealots are getting warped in, getting some damage done. They are starting to push this further and further back. Widowmine goes off.
Look at it.
Skilless, yeah, Skilless starting to fall in supply, and that is finally going to push it back with the Warp Prism going down.
Yeah.
We're talking about no transition. Skilless, there is a chance that he didn't quite see. It's always hard in those battles to track how many SCVs did they pull, how many SCVs did you kill. So he's going to probably stay looking around in the game saying, okay, did I do enough economic damage? If I hold on, maybe I can take a third or start transitioning, but it's pretty tough from here.
No, that was an all-in. But it was a nice little counter push, and for everything you just said, you're absolutely correct, Ravi. If he had a fourth gas, if he had like 1,100 gas and Temple Archives finishing up, something like that, 2-2s nearing completion, any of that kind of thing, I would begin to believe, but he simply does not. HeroMarine's going to go across the map, confirm there is no third base, and do a little exchange with a smattering of forces. And even though he lost a bunch of SCVs, as you pointed out, that third orbital, I know we've been talking about this for years, but it's a big deal. Dropping mules off of 3 orbitals means that you have a pretty okay economy, even with not infinite SCVs, and this is going to be all she wrote, as Skilless gave us a good fight, but we'll tap out, and the series will go to Game 3.
Pretty exciting series, and a nice push there from HeroMarine, really being able to capitalize on that stim upgrade you were talking about. That really made the difference, as well as, of course, being able to catch Skilless in a position where he wasn't able to do those kind of flanking maneuvers or anything like that, like he could in Game 1.
Yeah, and it was kind of a nice change of pace, because again, at first glance, it does look like it was going to be that push again. The 2 barracks, the 1 factory, the delayed starport, that's all kind of the beginnings of that push. But to your point, Stim is just such a different angle from here. And he takes a third behind it as well. But it was, you know what? The exciting part of that game was I was like, there's 95% of Protosses after losing their third, losing a bunch of units, not being able to afford to start 2-2, not having a Dark Shrine, anything, you know, something to kind of lean on. They would have just tapped out. But I love Skillous' reaction. He says, actually, 5, 6, 7 sentries, something like that, in Blink Stalkers, maybe I can make something work. Against a lesser Terran, I think he would have, is the kind of funny thing. HeroMarine You could see HeroMarine disbelieving that he was actually in any danger until all the way up until the natural when he was like, wait a second, what is happening here right now?
Got really scary there. Some nice micros, some nice force fields, but ladies and gentlemen, that does mean we go to a game number 3, but that's going to be happening in just a little bit. We're going to go to a short break. I know everyone's favorite word, but we'll be back with game 3 in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. You're watching WCS Winter. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Winter. We're still ready to move into game number 3 of HeroMarine versus Skilless. I'm still Fear Dragon. I'm still joined by In Control, and we are in a tied-up series, 1-1.
Yep, a couple of interesting games there. HeroMarine seemed to take a very decisive lead and eventual win in game 2, but Skilless showing some tenacity there. It was kind of nice. If there was a chance for him to come back, it was off the back of good micro and some sentry usage, and he almost did it. Game number 3 will be interesting in the sense that HeroMarine, again, like you were kind of talking about as we were warming up this entire broadcast, is the far and away favorite. Skilless is 17 years old. He's kind of new to WCS. Obviously, he's been laddering and working very hard, but to go against a tried and true HeroMarine who's battled at BlizzCon seems like a tall order, but he's making it look doable, for Pete's sakes.
Absolutely. And we're going to be starting up here in game number 3. In top left-hand corner of the map, top of the red Terran player, he is HeroMarine. And Nathaniel's told me that I have to say Big Gabe at least 25 times during this broadcast.
Yeah.
Big Gabe, Big Gabe. Just starting to meet that quota.
You're getting there.
Starting down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we got our blue Protoss player. Averaging the age of 17, he is Skilless. Team Blazer. And I looked at his ladder profile right now. I thought he was a bit higher. I thought he was around 6 point something. Currently, his current account, which may not be his main one,
Right.
sitting at 5.4k MMR.
Interesting.
Which is a good bit below HeroMarine's.
Oh, yeah. No, that's that's where I'm at on obviously the NA ladder. So I would imagine, and without knowing, because it is actually sometimes possible you just get like a dream bracket in these qualifiers and you beat like 1 or 2 good players, which he definitely is good enough to do. That would be interesting. I'd love to know if that is actually where he's at. But I would just imagine anyone that qualifies for a WCS like this far out is 6K plus, and that's a far cry difference, by the way. It's nice having MMRs exposed like this because we used to make a big deal of, you know, top 100 GM or whatever, but it's not so much that. It's more the MMR. You know, watching Showtime push 7,000 over his stream a couple days ago is like, well, 7K is very different from the rest of us.
Oh, absolutely. Unfortunately, the account that I have tracking his MMR on my tournament for the ladder is currently not played in enough games to get into Grandmaster, so can't really say exactly what his MMR is. I mean, Grandmaster just came out recently, so a lot of players are still kind of in the midst of getting in right now.
Okay. Very curious.
Okay, well, so far we do have an Adept opening coming out once again. I mean, in both of the games that we've seen so far, the Adept moves its way across the map, tries to get some damage done. The HeroMarine has been a little bit more effective with his Reaper in both of those games. The funny thing is, this game, we do have... Actually, no, sorry. The Reaper is already out and already sitting outside the natural, just waiting for that Adept to leave.
And Skilless with the great star sense here, if you will, is not leaving just yet. Now he sees that Reaper and will deny the information. Notice on this map, by the way, that there is no other hop-up spot into the main base other than going right through the natural. So it is always interesting when a Terran opens up with a Reaper on this map because they're just basically saying a little bit of like, I'm going to, either you're going to make a mistake and then I'll get a scout, or I'm kind of just going through the motions almost, I would say. I think a Reaper here doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Because the Reaper doesn't shut down anything else. It does scout okay around the map, better than a Marine, I guess. So if they're doing proxy stuff, you'd want the Reaper versus Marines.
And so far, the Adept is not going to be able to make a whole lot happen. Like you said, the Reaper doesn't really shut down a whole lot. It can be a little bit helpful in dealing with the Adept. Sometimes you can help catch it and get a bit of extra damage with the grenade especially. But the Marines are going to be enough to at least make this Adept feel uncomfortable enough that it doesn't want to actually try and move forward, try and move into that main or the natural. The Reaper goes back across the map, though, and it will potentially be able to... Actually, no, there's 2 Stalkers there now. If there's 1 Stalker, sometimes you can just kind of make the run by, try and get some scouting information.
Yep, not this case. And seeing even the 2 Stalkers is not really a giveaway. It is going to be Blink this time first. So this is something that Ruby was saying was being upgraded in the game previous, but got canceled in favor of Charge. And if you look at that production tab, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because right now there's Stim, there's +1 attack coming out. 3 Marines at a time. I would imagine HeroMarine favors something very similar to what happened in game number 2, because that worked resoundingly well.
Yeah, what's kind of interesting is that in game number 2, the thing that triggered Skilless to cancel Blink, or at least what it appeared to be, and go for charge instead and make all the kind of adaptations was the Adept moving in and getting into the main base and scouting everything out. This game, Adept got killed off. That's not going to really be an opportunity for him. And he doesn't have any sentries or anything warped in, so he's not going to have any hallucinated Phoenix Scouts for at least a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And if this observer going across the map will be the one to alert him to the fact that it's a very early 3rd orbital for our Terran player, HeroMarine here. So it's a little bit different from game number 2, obviously, because that 3rd went down after the push. This time it's the 3rd going down well before that. 3 additional barracks being added here as well. And then there is that starport. So I have to correct myself. I was wrong. I thought HeroMarine was going to do some kind of push. He is changing the pace, doing 3 different builds in all 3 of the games. And I think he'll be pretty happy with this too, because the thing about Blink Stalker in this case, unless they can really jump on top of that bunker, which I guess is possible.
The Marines are out of position, yeah, and the SCV is not really being pulled so far.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it's just not enough stalkers. It shouldn't be enough stalkers anyways. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. A little bit of econ damage there, picking off the repairing SCVs. That's nice. But I guess to finish my thought, Blink Stalkers on this map are great because Blink Stalkers are great, but on this map, not as good, right? You can blink up into there, but it's a little bit weird because there's kind of a chasm. You can pick off drops. All that kind of stuff is nice, but otherwise you're just fighting in this little choke area. And he's getting as much work done as you can with Blink Stalkers. This is great.
This is really, really nice damage so far.
Yeah.
He'll pick off a couple of Marines, killing off some SCVs, just keeping HeroMarine occupied. Well, of course, he's establishing his 3rd base behind this, getting up his double forge upgrades, and just trying to eke out advantages.
There's no way, by the way, that Skilless is 5.4K. There's got to be another account.
I'm pretty sure he's not. I'm pretty sure he's 6 point something.
Yeah, this guy looks he looks really good. Very crisp micro. I'm loving his game plan. He's taking good thirds, and he's playing a great series here. Doing a little bit of damage there. There's this stim coming out. There are medevacs coming out, so if you're worried about this Bioforce having basically no recourse, that won't be the case. But again, for one Stalker, he kills 4 or 5 SCVs. He kills a handful of Marines. He gets, as you said, Ruby, keeps HeroMarine occupied. Pretty fantastic play.
Yep, 4th base even coming down awfully early, as he's already seen that HeroMarine is on that 3rd base and just really wants to stay 1 base ahead of his opponent, almost kind of reminiscent of the old school Zergs.
Yes. I mean, 645 or so to do your 4th base is very aggressive, and I'm loving his management of this too. So I believe he still hasn't taken one of the gases as natural. He hasn't taken any of the gases as 3rd, so that's how he's able to afford this. But the double forge play, mass gateway units, is a style we're seeing around the BlizzCon era of last year. Era is a weird way to put it. That time, excuse me. But it's a trap, right? Like if HeroMarine moves out and he's like built 3 or 4 tanks or something like that, or favors a drop, if he falls behind in supply, you can just drown your opponent in bodies, and that's the real dangerous part about this. The counterpoint, though, is that if HeroMarine shows some patience or takes a really good fight with just phenomenal micro, you can snowball against this very well. Like you can make all the Zealots and Stalkers in the world, but if I show up with 2-2 or 3-3 bio with like 8 medevacs and ghosts and widow mines and that kind of stuff, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Yeah, well, the timing for 1-1 finishing up for Skilless, it just hit. And now he's going to be seeing this army moving across the map with that Observer. He's got some Immortals. He's got 1-1 upgrades versus just +1 weapons.
No charge.
Oh, no charge does hurt, and that is only just now starting up. I wonder...
It's a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had Blink for a while now. He just kind of forgot that he didn't have charge. In fact, you could see charge get queued up before this fight, a few seconds before, because even the Zealots, the way they move, and I believe their animation, it kind of cues you on to going, oh no. Those guys don't have buffer legs.
Well, HeroMarine still just keeps sitting right underneath this Observer, and it does again alert Skilless. He's going to be coming in from this angle once again, despite all the medevacs. Doesn't have to worry about drop. Those Zealots are just... They can't do anything right now.
No, and this army with charge is night and day, so he's desperately holding on. He's chrono boosting up that charge, saying, come on. Because if he can get that upgrade going here, which he's about to in a couple seconds, this army transforms from one thing to a complete another. And that upgrade is still not finished, as a lot of Zealots are dying essentially for free. Yeah.
Oh, but he's going to lose every single Zealot before it finishes. Finally, some more reinforcing Zealots come on in. He is going to be able to push this back. And I think that this is still a win for him, even though it could have been a bigger win if charge had been researched on time.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Ravi. You're not wrong. The win is that he's alive and he held and no econ damage happened there, so that's all okay. But man, you're tilting right now because with charge, he doesn't just like hold that fight. He probably wins it. He probably comes out on top. Instead, he's down 20 supply, and HeroMarine's going to continue to push and maybe look for to secure the win.
Widowmine's burrowing, and actually the Force was coming down on top of the Widowmine, so he can't even really pick those off with the Zealots. You end up seeing the Stalkers do not have that frontline buffer anymore, and the Marauders are really putting in their work. I think that with the Ghosts also coming in, this does get a little bit dangerous. Some good EMPs could knock the shields off those Stalkers.
Yep.
Push Skilless back.
It's interesting because, yeah, they're good, and I don't disagree with you, but it's actually Colossus coming out, which Ghosts are not particularly super amazing against. They tank actually okay, so it's not like they're terrible here either. You're kind of hoping for Templar, though. But this fight's getting scrappy. It is just mostly Marauders here. The medevac count still very high, and the Stalkers are going to, again, push that back. But we're in, you know, buckle up. We're in for a long fight here, I think.
Yeah, what's kind of actually funny is during that fight, man, 2-2 already finished up. I feel like it was only like a minute and a half ago that 1-1 finished up. He's been really on top of those chrono boosts. So I guess that's another advantage of just taking your Nexus so fast, as you have way more chrono boosts to work with.
And he did take a 5th base behind this as well, and normally I'd kind of be like, that's awesome, wow, look at you go. But for right now, I mean, he's got these Liberators on top of him now. He's not really focusing him down. There's the first one that does die, but a whole lot of shots coming out from this. And now this Bioforce is fairly spread. Was looking okay, but as I kind of say this, I'm like, you know what, hang on here. He actually gets the Liberators out of there. Good spread on the Zealots, and he does win that fight. If he get to 3-3, and if he can, I mean, look, you know what he does really well too? He keeps building gateways as he expands, and he keeps his probe count at a decent place at 73. This guy, his econ management's really great.
I am loving this style, exactly what you were saying. This is almost, it feels like a throwback style, but it's adapting really, really well into exactly what HeroMarine is throwing at him.
And HeroMarine is only just now pulling back and going to take his 4th. And the scary thing here for HeroMarine is he is going Vikings, which is, you know, we were talking about this yesterday. That's fine. But if it continues to be things like he switches to Disruptors, he adds Archons, he hits that 3-3, he's on 5 bases, and HeroMarine's just taking a 4th, that's looking really good for our young player, Skilless, who is going up against HeroMarine, the Titan here. I mean, that would be, I'm starting to look at this and be like, HeroMarine, you're in a little bit of trouble here, bud. It's Immortals coming out. So yeah, if he overmakes Vikings, if he goes up to like 12 Vikings against, what is it, 2 Colossus?
Yep, just 2 Colossus right now, and just Immortals being added on from here on out.
He's tricking him. He's tricking him a little bit. Yeah, it's 2 Immortals. Mass Immortals against Mass Marauders.
This is going to get a little bit weird. Now, he doesn't have Storm on the way, despite having the Templar Archives. He's just using the Templar Archives for Archons for now. And with 3-3 finishing up, this is going to be a very strong time to hit.
It is. He is up there in supply, but he's not maxed just yet. He's going to go for it, though. The EMPs do hit a lot of the army. The Vikings kill the first Colossus, but that's kind of what they're supposed to do anyways. But you know what? Great kiting here from HeroMarine. A lot of the Zealots did die. Both the Colossus are dead, and Skilless is not getting the memo just yet. He's going to push forward those Blink Stalks, which is kind of a nice way to buy a little bit of time. Supply is pretty even here, Rubby.
Zealot's trying to get to the front line. Another Archon going to be joining the fray soon. All of the Ghosts have been picked off, at least the ones with the army, and I don't believe any more are being produced. No. Segments off a couple of Zealots, but doesn't have to worry about the EMPs now, so those Archons going to be a lot more effective.
He isolates this base. There is a bunker there, which is pretty good news for HeroMarine, but he's a little bit out of position. His army's going to come over kind of the top here and try to engage going down this ramp. But that's exactly what Skilless wants. One kind of weird force field, otherwise a decent angle here. Where are the Immortals? He's only just got the 1, but a lot of SCVs going down in the background here. Again, a good concave, and it looks like HeroMarine is going to be able to kind of weather at least part of the storm. Certainly with the 4 Liberators, I have to think that's the case. But when I say weather the storm, I mean he lost 22 SCVs. The 3rd is floating away, and Skilless sitting behind this with all this economy is looking fantastic.
Yeah, man, Skilless, I love this style, and just the whole idea of delaying your gas geysers for such a long time. Yeah, going up back up to Colossus because he killed off so many Vikings. He saw, oh, you're going to land your Vikings? You're going to let them die? Well, these are going to be useful again.
Ravi, I'm loving this. I'm becoming a Skilless fan here myself. This switch is huge. He's got 2 Colossus out. He's going to have up to 4 here in a second. The 3rd base is dislodged. You're not going to get that back for a little while. It is just the Liberators that is keeping HeroMarine alive, but I say just that as behind this, a 6th base is being taken. And this Colossus switch, I think, is going to be the end of it. I think HeroMarine's going to be in that loser round here in just a few moments. Great army control and positioning from our Protoss player as well. And he's going to look for a good fight here.
Yep, just looking for an opportunity where you can snag a Liberator to try and find a chance where the Liberators aren't quite sieged up in time. HeroMarine going to be staying on top of that, but this is a big, wide open area to try and cover with just the Liberators. Eventually, I think Skilless is going to find his opportunity to pounce.
I mean, HeroMarine is just barely holding on. Is this the whole Bioforce right here? Does he not have anything load up in medevacs?
This is pretty much it. He's got a supply depot.
Yeah.
It's not
we're approaching 15 minutes, so his main and Astro are looking thin in resources. It is just this base right here. And you talked about how he's adding, I mean, he's going back to Vikings, which you would do against Colossus. But these tech switches are putting so much strain on HeroMarine's already limited economy. And this is just, it's really nice to see this kind of tech switch pressure from our young Protoss.
Yeah, and I mean, you were talking about how the Liberators are helping keep HeroMarine alive, and normally this is the point in the time where the Terrarium player actually wants to make more Liberators, but here we go. Liberators actually just get immediately picked off. The Vikings even not really getting damage done to the Colossus as fast as they normally would want to. The Warp Prism does go down, but the Colossus have already done the damage. Even if they get cleaned up now, the Bioforce is gone, and Skilless takes the series.
Look, that's an impressive result in its own right. HeroMarine's a fantastic player, but if you watched, I mean, hopefully you did, you're listening to us. If you watch this whole series, I hope people really appreciate just how phenomenal of a play that was from Skilless. It really was. For whatever reason, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but there's a lot of people that kind of excuse Protoss wins. That guy was expanding while getting pressured. He was, in the game that he lost, he did the one thing he could with what he had available to him to try and drag it back into a game. He made it very close. Great Blink Stalker play, tech switches, kept up with his upgrades. His Chrono Boost was always at a minimum. He had the right probe count. He was up towards 75, 80, I believe it was at the end there, but never below or too high. This is a player that's put in the work and just got a phenomenal result in his first WCS appearance here, at least that I know of. Beating HeroMarine in this first game, this first match. That's phenomenal. Really great to see.
When I saw that play, like, those are all the things that you think about when you say, oh, what makes a great StarCraft player? Well, he has a really good map presence and stuff. Constantly had pylons just laced around the map, prepared for drops. He had great micro, as he showed, kind of in that second game, almost making that kind of comeback with the sentries and zealots.
Everything I just said, yeah.
Exactly, literally everything you're saying, but like this is all the things that you want from a good StarCraft player. It's really great to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do in that winners match.
Yeah. Now, of course, we talked about this yesterday, and it didn't actually end up happening, but sometimes you beat that first player, and then later they come back to get you. We'll have to see if that happens, but nice first result there for Skilless. Again, 17 years young, coming in and taking on another formerly young. It's fun to say formerly young. Big Gabe's a normal age person at this point in time. But Robbie, what do we have coming up next? Because this has been great so far.
Well, we got more Protoss action with Mana versus Shadowne. So don't go anywhere. You're watching WCS Winter.